Do you need more money? Do you have a talent or hobby that you can monetize? In this episode, my Young Money guest Cody of Fly to FI shares how he is turning his side hustle into mega bucks and how you can too.
This episode is brought to you by dualpreneur.com. Are you a full-time employee and an entrepreneur? That means you're a dualpreneur. You understand and value the concept of having multiple streams of income. Dualpreneur.com provides resources, connections, and services to dualpreneurs so that they can do it all, have it all, be it all. For more information, go to dualpreneur.com. That's dualpreneur.com.
Welcome to the Financial Fornicating with Madam Money, where fun financial tips are shared for sexier and healthier relationships with your money and credit. I am your host, Tarra Jackson, aka Madam Money, and I am so excited about this episode. I have a young gentleman by the name of Cody who is doing some major things at the age of 22. I want you to listen to his story because even though he's young, he has some great tips for not only young money, but also for us more mature. So listen in. Cody, it's so awesome to finally get an opportunity to have a conversation with you. From what I've seen out there, you're kind of the big wig, and I'm not going to break your age yet, but you're kind of doing some major things. But before we go into all the awesome things, tell our listeners who you are, and how you are so awesome.
Well, thank you for that intro. I don't know if I can follow that up with my little short bio, but I'm Cody. I will disclose my age. I'm 22. And as of this point, I've started and co-founded a successful disc golf business that I'll get into later. And I also run the personal finance blog Fly to Fi, Fly to FI.
And what does FI stand for?
FI stands for financial independence. So it's basically the point at which your cash flow or your nest egg can support your life in perpetuity, where you don't have to work anymore, but you just have the option.
Look at him, 22, using big words like perpetuity. You gotta love it. For those of you that don't know what perpetuity is, look it up. But I like that, to be able to have a lifestyle or income that can sustain your lifestyle forever and ever. So, and the fact that you're 22, I was telling you before, my son is 22. So you are a part of my Young Money crew. And I'm so proud of you all that you've accomplished so much in such a short period of time, lifespan, considering I'm 44, right? So I'm just so excited and proud of you all. That's why I want the world to know who you are and to follow you and to have their young money, their children, their nieces, nephews, godchildren, whatever, to follow you, to let them know that they can do exactly what you're doing. So you mentioned that you are a co-founder or co-owner of a disc jockey. What is it? Disc golf? Disc golf company. Okay, so for people like me, I know golf. I love golf. I play golf. But what is disc golf?
So disc golf, I think it started back in the late 70s or early 80s, and it's basically the same rules as golf, where you're trying to get the lowest score possible on each hole. There's pars, there's bogeys. It's all the same rules basically, except the tools are different. So instead of clubs and golf balls going into a hole, you are throwing plastic, what are called discs, into a pin, which is just metal fixture with chains. So you try to get the disc into the chains in, say, in 3 shots or less.
Wow.
There's putters, mid-ranges, drivers. It's all the same, just different tools.
So from my understanding, you don't have the course, but you actually you're a manufacturer of the actual disc?
Yes. So there's over 5,000 courses now in the US, and actually they're scattered all across the world. But what we do is we actually manufacture those discs that people use. So if you're going to stick with the golf analogy, we make the clubs. And that's just been through a lot of hard work, prototyping, and kind of seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And I guess just basing discs off of other leaders in the industry, seeing what was successful with them, and then making alterations and tweaks to make our discs slightly better and more optimized.
Now tell me, for real, like, you're 22. What in the world I know you didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I want to create discs for disc golf. How in the world did you decide to go into that field or start doing that?
Yeah, so I guess it kind of stemmed from my interest in side hustles and entrepreneurship, and that stemmed from reading The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And in that book, he talks about having passive income and side hustles and what he calls muses. It's just these little things you do for fun on the side to earn your extra money. And so I actually had a failed tutoring company and failed custom T-shirt company before the disc golf business. I kind of just didn't put in the effort. I probably maybe who knows, maybe they could have been successful, but ultimately I just knew I wanted to do something. So just for some background on me, I had been involved in the disc golf community since age 8 because my uncle, who
Oh,
lives in the same street as me, owns a disc golf course. So I was really immersed in that community. I loved the sport. It was kind of up and coming, and I saw that there was a gap in the market that maybe a young entrepreneur could fill, because a lot of like the websites of the giants in the industry were kind of clunky and
mhm.
not too up to date. And I was like, we can do something with this, and we can make better discs. We can make a better interface. So reached out to an engineering partner of mine. So my background's in finance and economics. I have no idea how to design a disc. I could not tell you the first thing about drawing a computer-aided design on the computer, but I have a friend who could. So we teamed up and we kind of just filled each other's weaknesses. And so used our strength,
Yeah.
and just kind of, sorry, I don't know if you can cut that out.
Oh no, you use your strengths to help each other. So where you weren't really strong in the development, he was strong in that area. And where he wasn't strong with the finance and all of that, that's where you were strong, and you came together, and that's called collaboration. And
Exactly.
collaboration creates cash, if you have the right collaborator. So that is kind of awesome. So the 4 Hour Work Week, I love that you read the book. And this is what I love about you as Young Money, is that you understand that even as a successful entrepreneur, success requires some form of failure. So you failed a couple times, you realize what didn't work, and then you got into something and you worked harder, and you just didn't do the other stuff that helped you to fail, so you can be more successful. And there is a lot of, older, more mature of us, some of us, that think our first venture is going to be a gold mine. And then we get really disheartened when we fail at that. I've had several businesses that didn't take off like I expected them to or wanted them to, but that's just a part of the process. And it's so funny that you've been through the process at, 22. Love it. Love my Young Money. So what is the best side hustle? What do you believe is the best type of side hustle?
So yeah, I think, well, some people will classify best as making the most money. And a lot of times that might not be the best side hustle for you. So let's face it, being a drug dealer might be a great side hustle. One, that's illegal.
That's
Two,
illegal. Don't do
it's
that.
unethical. And three, you're not helping people. It's not a side hustle that's going to bring you joy. It's probably not something you're passionate about. Hopefully, if you are, please seek help.
How?
But I think the best side hustle is something that coincides with what you value, and maybe some of the skills that you can bring to the table also coincide with that side hustle. So for me, the disc golf business, I did have a background in like Excel modeling and doing finances, and I did have some marketing background from the courses I took at my university. So it just kind of all perfectly aligned. And disc golf was something I was already really passionate about. So it wasn't like I was starting a knitting company when I'd never knitted before, you know?
Right,
It's
right.
kind of picking something that doesn't feel like work. I know I've heard the saying, an entrepreneur will work 80 hours a week doing something they love to not work 40 hours
40
a
hours
week
a
in
week.
a W-2 job. Yeah.
Exactly. But but they're like, when I talked to you before, you are a classic dualpreneur. Congratulations on your new job that
Thank you.
you're gonna be starting very soon. So you understand already the value of a dual income engine, like a dual engine plane. The plane only needs one engine to fly, but it has two engines in case one fails. It's called a fail safe. And so with the dual engine income, you have your W-2 income, and then you have your 1099 income, which is your side hustles, and whether it's one or whether it's multiple. So if one of those incomes fails, you always have something to back up on. So it's awesome that you understand and value that concept of that. So how does your savings rate affect side hustling and entrepreneurials? That's one of the questions, like your savings.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, just having a high savings rate really allows you to take risks and kind of just get your foot in the door in some of these entrepreneurship ideas and side hustle ideas. So say you're spending 100% of everything that comes in, you don't really have like $100 or a few hundred extra dollars to maybe just put your foot in the water for some new side hustle that maybe there involves a little bit of capital to get started. If your savings rate is 0, then you just don't have the opportunity.
So explain to people who may not understand what a savings rate is, because you're the finance person. So explain to us what you mean by savings rate.
Sure. So say your after-tax income is like 50,000, which was close to the national average last year in the US. If you save 50% of that, you'll have 25,000 left over to do whatever. Hopefully it's something positive like saving or investing, or like I'm talking about, starting a side hustle or starting an entrepreneurial venture. And just having that little bit of capital sometimes can just get you kickstarted. I'm not saying pour all of your savings into some venture blindly and hopefully it works out, but you might need just a little bit of capital to get started. And so just increasing the gap between your income and your expenses is key to being able to take bigger risks for your career.
And that's very good for young adults to really understand before they have the excessive debt that's out there, whether it's the cars, the homes, the credit cards, student loans. The older you get, the higher your debt becomes. So as what I call young money, and that's between the ages of 18 to around 30, in the 20s, when you have the least amount of debt that's there, aside from some student loans, you have an opportunity to save more. And so this is the time to save more, whether you're saving it for your future or you're saving it to put towards that side hustle, that entrepreneurial venture. Now, for us that are more mature, our savings rate is not that much because we do have that extensive debt. But I always say, save something sooner, #save something sooner, because my W-2 job, even though it's contract, it's still a W-2 job. I still am able to take money, put it in my savings, and use some of that money for capital, for my business ventures, which makes me more money. And then I'm able to use the money in those business ventures to reinvest back into my business and not take money away from rent or mortgage or food. I really like to eat, had to throw that in. Yeah. So what's the best piece of advice you can give for aspiring young money entrepreneurs?
Well, I think it all goes back to that savings rate, just so you have the opportunity to take action. But my number one piece of advice is to just do it. Just jump in. I guess I don't want to get listeners confused. Don't jump in with all your money. Don't don't take out $500,000 of debt to start this new business that you're thinking is going to be great. Start small, but just take your first steps. It's like when you're writing an essay, you are dreading that first word on the page, but after you get through that first paragraph, it just keeps rolling and you just keep getting better and better. I would never be where I am today if I didn't just start and do something. I kind of struggled and pushed through analysis paralysis, just did something. Even if it was the wrong thing, you learn that it's the wrong thing and you learn from your failures. And those failures would just make you an incrementally better person and better at your side hustle.
Absolutely. If you're not failing, you're not doing anything, which means you're not going to succeed. But you want to fail as minimal as possible. So the only advice that I can give to young money is to just do it. But look at your more mature folks, your parents, the more mature people around you, and look at some of the mistakes we've made. And, don't do that. Don't get a whole bunch of credit and credit cards and then go into business ventures and they don't work out and you still have to foot the bill. So, like you said, invest in yourself first, keep money aside, use a portion to invest in your business, and do a business that you're familiar with first, that you already like to do, that you do for free or that you would do for free. I remember when I was in college, I had this young lady who used to do my hair. And she did my hair for free until, I told her, I was like, you keep doing everybody's hair. You need to charge them. And that's when she started charging people, including me. And then I was wondering why I even told her to do that. But now she had a side hustle. And that actually, when her parents couldn't afford to pay for her college anymore, her doing hair in the dorms is what helped her pay for her tuition. And then she turned into a celebrity hair designer or stylist. That's what they are, stylists. So you can do it. Cody, I really, really love what you're doing out there. Again, you are fly to FI, but tell people how they can connect with you, get in contact with you, or, watch you on your journey.
Definitely. Well, I guess I want to just share one more piece of advice for your listeners.
And sure, please.
It's the way I like to think about just money in general. And I kind of like to think of what I call financial waterfall. So at the bottom of the waterfall is me. And if there's no water hitting me, then I'm I'm not alive. That waterfall is my lifeline. And at the top of the waterfall is all these rivers, and those are my income streams. And what I like to do is just have as many income streams as possible. And kind of just to tag on what I was saying earlier, not only does a high savings rate allow you to try new side hustles, but new side hustles earn you income and increase that savings rate. If you don't let lifestyle creep happen from your side hustles earning you more money, all that money is just going to go into savings or new side hustles. And like you said, it just snowballs, and you can just use that money to earn more money. It's a super powerful concept.
Use your money to make money. I love that. And I always say I have multiple streams of income because I have multiple streams of bills. So that is so freaking awesome. I wish you the best success. But again, tell people how they can connect with you.
Definitely.
And find you.
Yeah. So through my website / blog, which is Fly to Financial Independence, you can hit the contact form on there, or you can just email me or reach out to me on any of my social media platforms at Fly to FI.
Beautiful. So we are definitely going to be following you, keeping up with your journey. I love that disc golf. I'm so going to Google it now and figure out what the hell are you talking about. But that is so awesome. And I wish that the world of success. It looks like it's going great. And I'm sure I'm going to be having you on soon. Thank you for being my young money and for being so successful as a dualpreneur, as an entrepreneur, and as a personal finance person as well. You know, I love you. So thank you so much. And thank you for listening. And we will see you soon.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.